Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Dota 2 Major All-Stars. I'm Zyori, joined by Kotlguy today. We've got the lower bracket finals going into the grand finals. First on the docket, NiP versus ASUS.Polar. The winner of this will be squaring off against Empire in succession in a best-of-5. It's going to be awesome. A lot of Dota coming up today. Dakota, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. I'm excited, looking forward to this. For all you hat specialists out there, of course, according to Dota 2 Lounge, we got 60% odds favorites here for ASUS.Polar, which, based on NiP's recent performances, could be hot or cold. They're on the comeback right now. I would say that's pretty justified, but of course, we'll let the Dota kind of speak for itself here. And Zyori, I like how you're one to say lower bracket finals and not losers finals.
Yeah, there's no losers here today, Dakota. They can all still be winners. Well, there will be 2 losers, unfortunately. This is just a qualifier. So first place in the European version, well, gets to go to the actual LAN event in Malaysia. So a lot on the line today. Some dreams are coming true. Would be cool to see NiP make it. I think they're the pretty clear underdogs relative to these two CIS powerhouses. We've seen it duke it out quite a few times, ASUS.Polar and Empire. But boy, look at this draft. These teams know what they want, and they're going for it quick. Axe and Ancient Apparition, the opener for ASUS.Polar, Ninjas in Pajamas. They grabbed the Witch Doctor in the Chen. A little bit of healing, but already old Frosty's there, ready to chuck those snowballs.
Just literally an ice rain on your healing parade happening right here before our eyes. Where we got the... this is something you should expect. You're opening with your 1-2, your support foundation here. You're feeling more comfortable not kind of unleashing your game strategy with your cores right off the bat, but you got extra sustain power now, so I'm feeling potentially they're going to go heavy with the pushing flavor here and looking to really take it to Polar before they can kind of unveil what I imagine being their Illidan late game. So I think it's a nice formidable start, and they're taking precaution on the side of Ninjas in Pajamas, and they're getting rid of the Brood, and now they've also get rid of the Zeus.
So ASUS.Polar taking out the Sniper, and they'll think about their 4th ban for a moment here. NiP still need all of their cores, so like you mentioned, picking up both their supports, so hard to ban around here. We've seen Era playing a lot of Storm Spirit recently already. They've got the Axe picked up, so could be the beginnings of a team that has a decent bit of control. They'll actually choose to ban out the Luna, perhaps afraid of some pushing power that NiP could pull out with a Witch Doctor, AoE sustain, Chen with some creeps. That Luna aura could make for a scary pushing strat. But there you go. There's your second support for ASUS.Polar, the Skywrath Mage. And there's quite a bit of magic damage coming out between those two.
The lockdown works great. You get your silence right there, which can instantly shut down someone like the Witch Doctor, of course, with the long range. And then you got the lockdown of Axe to set up the easy Mystic Flare. But then we got a Clockwork here. Now you got heavy initiation and gap closing coming out from the NiP squad and Blade Mail Candidate. So to go against that Skywrath Mage, of course, and he's fantastic against Axe, can lock him in his own little death trap, keep him away from the battle. He'll probably pick up his own Force Staff to deal with it. And Skywrath Mage, Ancient Apparition are pretty... Well, I assume between the two, they might want AA to be the more greedy one, maybe even consider going with the early Midas, build up in the Agnums. That can really be potent in the team fight, which at that case, none of them are really going to be getting a Force Staff, which could help against Clockwork, so it makes that grab a bit more potent. But the Spirit Breaker being picked up here was a Phobos special, but Polar overall have ran it numerous times.
Certainly so. Spirit Breaker, he has been just completely on the rise, and we've seen him just play such a potent role as this zoner. He can peel off the carries, and usually you'll see him just charge the backline, go in pretty deep, and make those supports' lives a little more difficult. This Witch Doctor probably not going to be channeling that ultimate all too much this game. Between the Axe, the Spirit Breaker, and then even just the silence from Skywrath Mage, plenty of ways to deal with that spellcaster already. And not a bad way of dealing with the Viper either. A hero that puts out a lot of damage, but if you lock him down with bashes, charges, nether strikes, all that good stuff, his damage output all of a sudden isn't quite so scary. So curious what ASUS.Polar have in mind for this final pick. They will final ban the Dro Ranger. NiP thinking about their 5th ban here, and they will take out the Anti-Mage, a classic for good old Illidan.
Both teams have at least in my opinion, a very similar structured lineup, with one side having more aggression on supports and one side having more sustain and more push. They have heavy frontliners here, but not a lot of core, not a lot of late game damage. It's feeling not quite like 4 Protect 1, but as if they're putting all their chips into one power player in the late game. Whether it was going to be potentially an AM, now it could be like a Morphling, a Medusa, Something along those lines. It's feeling like they're going to have to, like, just have one powerhouse of a core right here for both sides.
I could see a Medusa for ASUS.Polar. It is something Illidan has turned to quite a bit. His Slark is still in the pool, another hero that he turns to quite frequently. If ASUS.Polar wanted to try to take this game quickly and go for like a 30-minute victory here and skirmish with NiP, bring the fight to him, Slark could be a good option. He loves to go for that hand to Midas right into the Shadow Blade, and then get very aggressive, kind of play like a Quaswex Invoker once he gets his Orchid. Just Ghost Walk around, look for solo pickoffs. That's sort of Illidan's Slark style. Could be an option here. I guess Gyrocopter could be an option, though. Not a lot of obvious synergy. I think they'd rather have a Deucer or something that packs a little more of a punch rather than a Gyro with this setup.
Polar already picked up good anti-Slark, so I guess they could feel comfortable grabbing it. Spiritbreaker and AA are both really good against the Slark, so it gives them the comfortable ability to grab it if they'd like, and I agree, it's an Illidan special, so there's no reason to pass on it. But also, yeah, that Medusa could be a good grab. Maybe someone who could help amplify more level 1 game. I mean, they already have a lot of it there with Skywrath Mage and AA, so yeah, I'm curious to see. Medusa works well. Axe could force someone to look in the direction of Medusa as well. So there's a lot of potential there. It's going to be the Clinks. Spicy.
Yeah, that's a little bit interesting. I would not have predicted that one for sure. The most Clinks play that I've seen recently has been in the offlane, that sort of Funnick style. The Funnick go black, grabbing a Baden or somebody that can back up the squishy Bone Fletcher and then secure some farm for him. But here, this is probably your Illidan hero. I don't know. Maybe that's your Phobos hero. Illidan takes the Axe and Mag takes the Spirit Breaker. This will be interesting from ASUS.Polar. Maybe it'll just be an Axe mid. Not quite sure how they'll set up these lanes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look right now, and I want to say, and I'm of course an amateur stats man right now, Zyori, but this could be the first Clinks play from Polar in this patch right now. 6.83 at least.
Well, I know a little website that might be able to help us out here. Let's take a look.
If it's that Dota I'm looking at, I just don't know if I'm looking in the right area there, Zyori.
Well, I've had similar problems in my day, I have to be perfectly honest with you. Now, for NiP, what are they thinking here? I think the Era hero, most likely. As I mentioned, Storm Spirit could be an option. Against the Skywrath, probably a little less likely. What else has Era been playing? The Tiny. Wow, very interesting.
The Wispless Tiny, the big Tony one. Feels like he can branch out and do it on his own without his buddy to be able to give him that extra bit of mobility, that extra bit of overcharge, amplified attack speed. There might be something here we're missing, but this is definitely a very intriguing pick to me.
Yeah. Now, based on my little bout of research here, I have to agree with you, buddy. I think this might indeed be the first time ASUS.Polar have played Clinks on 6.83, so this is a bit exciting here, a little titillating, if you will. NiP playing the Tiny without Wisp. I'm actually sort of curious about that one as well. I'm also just curious about the win rate right now of Tiny and Wisp versus Tiny with no Wisp, especially on the carry roll. We've seen a couple of kind of cheesy strats where maybe a Tiny Centaur, Tiny Techies, toss them in and have fun with it and just mess around on the 4, but playing him in the 1 without that mobility tool in the relocate does change the state of the game a little bit. Part of Tiny's turbo farming power is that ability of the Wisp to constantly feed him mana and farm in the jungle.
Yeah, it's... Oh, okay. So we're going to have a disconnect here, it looks like, and we're going to have to remake. I didn't really catch what happened there. But yeah, the Tiny thing seems really, really weird to me. I mean, normally then at least you have a backup of some other way to get you mobile, whether it be the ghetto method like a Coddle or something, or they have the extra bit of amplified attack speed with like a Troll. He doesn't have any of that. And he has a Clockwork. He doesn't really interact well with a Clockwork. If Clockwork's going to lock someone down, Tiny's not going to get into those cogs and make the action happen there. And yeah, I don't know. Just seems like maybe Era's comfortable with something and he just likes his Tiny and thinks he can get it done there.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible. We've seen Tiny win without Wisp before, I think even on this patch in the carry role, so it's not totally unheard of. It's just difficult, and you need some people to make space for him, and it just takes him a little bit longer to come online. I feel like watching Tiny Wisp, if he doesn't get a lot of kills and he's just farming in the jungle, working on stacks and that kind of stuff, you think, okay, this Tiny's farming pretty well. Without the Wisp, that's sort of your gold standard. I always kind of feel like, well, he's just not really farming that great without having all that mana. That's the big thing, the mana sustainability. Does he end up going for arcane boots? Does he grab a bottle to run around with? Does he end up maybe getting a Midas before the Aghanim Scepter so he can really turbo farm? These are the kind of things I'll be curious to see coming out from Era this game.
I wonder if he's going to go more priority into something like a Blink Dagger Drums in the mobility, because he'll crush a Clinks if he gets a hold of him. Like, it would take Clinks a lot of farm to be able to soak up the wombo combo factor of just a tiny alone, plus an auto attack or two. Maybe they're figuring he could be able to jump the gun and just have someone with dust or himself with dust on hand, and he'd be able to easily breach someone like Clinks and crush him into a pile of bone dust. It's gonna be one of those starts, Zyori, dude. I just pounded a cup of coffee.
Oh boy, yep. I'm working on the Red Bulls myself, getting my day started early here on the Pacific Coast, and well, I had some oatmeal this morning too, Dakota. I have to admit, I've got a full belly. I had some maple brown sugar.
Oatmeal?
What's that?
Was it steel cut? Oatmeal?
No,
any
it was
bananas,
not steel
any
cut.
Fruit added?
It was the Quaker Oat instant with water, not even milk. Yeah, I need to go grocery shopping. Let me put it that way.
Okay, it's one of those times. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those times. So all right, looks like we're finally ready to go. Illidan.
What even happened last time?
I'm not
why
sure.
Why did we remake Zyori? What is the deal?
Era said something about a configuration file, but I think one of the casters didn't sit or something, got left behind or something like that. I don't know. Illidan made a little shot at casters. He was like, come on, this is the last time. Come on, casters.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I'm like,
I'm here, dude. I'm ready. I was participating.
I have my caster pants on.
Yeah.
There's no pants, but...
I got my serious hat on today, Illidan. I took a shower. I did my hair. I'm ready. I put on my nice shirt. This is my one and only BTS shirt. Okay, yeah. These are in hot demand. I have literally one, and there are none left. This was the last one.
Yes. We're ready to go. Was he ready? He picked Clinks.
Yeah.
NiP picked Mining Without Wisp. I mean, who's ready here? Let's be honest. Okay?
Yeah. All right, let's see. So we are just about to load in. Oh, Jonas having some connection issues. Doesn't seem to be able to join. Oh no, Dakota.
I am curious though. We'll deter this so we can put our attention elsewhere, Zyori. Have you gotten to... I figure you've been able to cast NiP since Limp has joined, right?
Yes, I got to see them. I have to look at the bracket, but I got to cast an earlier series. I think I got to see the series when they were swiftly 2-0'd by Empire.
Okay. I was going to ask how the performance has been since he's joined. This Limp is obviously a Swedish player who's been doing a lot of stand-in and pop-in and outs with a bunch of different NA teams, like Complexity, even like Shadows of the Past, way back in the day. But I'm just curious to see how he's been forming on this like Swedish lineup.
Well, he is Chessie's younger brother. So remember Chessie from Alliance before he was injured. Of course, he was a Han player as well. So Chessie and Limp were pretty prominent Han players for a while, especially after like the old Fnatic left when their reign of dominance was over. They were sort of the next wave of players that took the torch and hung around in Han a little bit longer than most people that switched over to Dota 2 from that first wave. He looked pretty good with NiP. I mean, they traded a Swede for a Swede, so I definitely don't think Limp was their issue. The first game from that series, if I recall, was pretty close. I don't recall the specifics, but game 2 I remember pretty well because Jonas was having connection issues, and after like 15 minutes, we eventually had to resume, and it was a 4v5, and they just got decimated. So Empire, they didn't really get a free series, but it was a bit of a walkover. So hopefully Jonas has limited connection issues today. That would be disappointing to see them knocked down to the lower bracket because of connection issues, and then here in the lower bracket finals having connection issues once again. You know, you can only stay paused for so long, Dakota. I'm not sure what his deal is, but oh man, got to get that ISP on the phone. You know, got to start fixing that router.
Yeah,
got to do what you got to do.
Get the hamster on the wheel. Get it rolling. The potato must be baked.
You got to bake your potatoes. I mean, come on.
Limp. Has he been playing the 8-mother mid role, or have they been putting him in the off lane?
You know what?
I think in my last game he played Viper. I think I looked at he played Viper, so it seems like he's just kind of stepping in for 8 Mothers old spot.
Yeah.
I only asked because he'd been playing a lot of off lane when he was on Complexity for a little bit.
Yeah,
Great
he's a pretty flexible player. He usually plays core. I think he's played support as well. He can kind of do anything, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him.
What a guy.
Continue playing kind of that 8 Mother style role. I don't think NiP really want to switch it around too much, but they're just a versatile team in general. Sometimes you'll see Era play the mid. Sometimes they'll move it around a little bit, so plenty of different options for NiP. Not always the easiest team to predict in terms of the way they set up the lanes. So here we go. They switched VPNs. Jonas has loaded in Dakota. Yes, we're here. We've made it this far, and it's time for some Dota, buddy.
I gotta say, thank you, Valve, for finally adjusting the time thing with having to go between all pick and captain's mode. I remember for a while there you had to go back into captain's mode again to make sure the creeps wouldn't spawn too early because it would throw everything off if you wanted to go aggressive in the jungle or plant some early wards. But we're not going to have that here. We get to go right back into AP. All the heroes are back in full form. We were questioning Polar. Both teams have very intriguing lineups, very similar structured, great frontliners, and then you're putting all your eggs into one heavy hitter. For Polar, it's the Clinks, which they have yet to play in 6.83. For NiP, it's Era's Tiny without the Wisp.
Yeah, looks like Limp has also been playing some Sniper here and there. I'm just looking at his history. He played a Puck the other day. Looks like he may have gone mid in that game as Jonas was on a core Phoenix. So, yep, seems to be their mid-core player, at least for now. But just the beginning of a best of 3, folks. For those of you joining us a little bit late, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. Well, you missed the order of the draft and the bans, but that's okay. We're finally getting into game number 1 here. This is our lower bracket finals, the opening best of 3. It's all on the line. Loser walks away empty-handed, and the winner moves on to the grand finals to face Empire, who are waiting right now. They're watching this series. They've got their pens and papers at the ready, taking notes, ready to keep eyeballs on the winner so they can shut him down in a best of 5 where they're ready, starting fresh. Dakota, let's introduce some teams here, my man.
Let's do it. I'll lead things off. We'll go with ASUS.Polar, formerly known as Virtus.Pro Polar. They're not about the Virtus.Pro life anymore, and they have spawned off into their own ASUS branding here. Mag is going to be playing what looks like your off-lane Spirit Breaker here. And we have a trifecta moving through the early level 1 aggression. This is a 3-man squad that want to take dominant control of the top rune, and if someone gets out of position, they can get the early first blood. We got Mr. F-God, or FNG, who's going to be playing your Ancient Apparition. Illidan's going to be playing that Clinks. Brown, we've got Mr. Lil. He's going to be playing your Skywrath Mage. And finally, to round things out, DK Phobos with what looks like a safe lane Axe.
All right, so Axe will be your safe lane farmer, prioritizing the Blink Dagger, Illidan. We'll see what he can get done in the mid lane on that Clinks. Looking on the Radiant side, NiP, the ninjas in their pajamas. Jonas Sumfon, he'll be in the off lane here on the Rattletrap Clockwork. Limp, he'll be on the Viper, headed to the mid lane. Oh, we're going to see a fight break out. Jonas holding the high ground for this top rune. Is he going to have a go here? I don't think so. Probably walking into the danger zone. Oh, there he goes. Cogs come out. Who's going to get the bounty? It's going to be the Clockwork. Now can Jonas make it out? These Cogs doing some work, draining some serious mana out of the gate here. He'll make it out with about half health gone. And the bottom bounty rune was secured by the Viper. So statistically here, Dakota, NiP off to a good start. Seal Kid, he'll be on the Witch Doctor. That puts Era on that safe lane farming Tiny. We've talked about him a lot, as there is no Wisp here. Handskin, he'll be on his Chen in the jungle. Pretty damn good on the Chen. We saw him play it a couple days ago in that series against Empire, and he was looking pretty strong.
Yeah, big thing right there for Jonas to be able to grab up that sweet rune at the top. Even though both teams end up having to trade a bit of resources, they lose a lot of mana on the side of ASUS.Polar because of the cog bounce. Jonas has to dip early into his regen, but because of the bounty, of course, he has a nice little head start to level 2. He should be expecting to be zoned pretty damn hard. In fact, I don't even know if they're going to need all 3 up here committed for this on the side of Polar. Axe alone is very nice matchup against any sort of just one-on-one even melee get up, but it is a Clockwork after all. Already has the cog level, could be a bit finicky, so you have to have someone on the side. FNG's that person. He takes a few smacks of that wrench as Jonas wants to be able to contest and just harass and try to soak up some free split XP.
Down bottom, Mag needs to be a little careful here. Yeah, Seal Kid does the wraparound, hits him with a coconut. Era hanging on to his mana for now, but does have an avalanche. Usually you don't want to square up against the Spirit Breaker early on. Notorious for being a very high EHP hero to get things started. 5 armor, and look at this. No stats, and already at 740 HP. I guess Era respecting the space cow for now. Mag not really getting too much out of the off lane, but getting some decent experience. Already level 2. Clockwork having a grand old time as he stays nice and aggressive. Jonas, has he bit off more than he can chew here, though? Frosty with the chilling touch doing a lot of damage, and yep, he underestimates their damage output, rather, as Lil secures the first blood with that arcane bolt.
Caster Curse at its finest. The second you think he's having a grand old time, he gets his ass beat in the top lane. That is not how you want it. He feels pretty aggressive and comfortable, but you can't underestimate the nuke power of these two. Skywrath Mage can just dish out serious damage at a low mana expense. And of course, Chilling Touch on Ancient Apparition is absolutely ridiculous. 2 people already, you got 3 strikes apiece at 50 extra bonus damage. Math is crazy, Zyori, but I wager that's a lot of deeps.
That is a lot of deeps indeed, good sir. Illidan in the mid lane. He's going to find himself in a bit of a sticky wicket here. Smoke rotation from Hanskin. He's got a Dark Troll. They've got a Dust. Illidan doesn't even have the mana for the Skeleton Walk. He'll get brought down. Easy kill for NiP. It's going to be Viper that secures that one. Meanwhile, back in the top lane, Jonas gets some cogs down, but again, biting off more than he can chew. Phobos connects with the Berserker's Call, and they're doing a lot of damage to him here. Can they actually secure the kill, though? Jonas will make it out. All right, the Battery Assault doing enough work to keep DK Phobos off his back and keep him safe as he gets back under the tower.
So very interesting in the mid lane engagement. I don't know if Illidan wasn't checking maybe the inventory of Limp. Maybe should have saw he had the early Dust or had a Dust and was like, okay, they might be thinking of engaging. That's kind of a bit early for a Dust at this point in the game. And as I say that, he's getting early heavy harassment onto Limp with just the arrows alone. And well, they thought about maybe having a rotation come through. It was at least a charge. If potential was to, get the jump on the mid lane, but regardless, it's free express travel. It looks like towards the bottom rune area. He's not going to take it, heads back to base. And as far as top lane goes, yeah, now it's full in control right there for Polar. And they see the cogs were already expended. They happily make the jump. Now Axe is going to have a huge boost for himself. DK Phobos already got Tranquils, 300 gold, level 4, moving to level 5. Nice strong start for him. The supports can now venture out elsewhere because he can hold his own and find their own way.
Yep. So Jonas and Mag both getting similar experience. Jonas actually leeching a bit more. Of course, he has conceded to death, so I guess that does give Mag a slight upper hand. Almost got killed down bottom, but able to charge away. That's sort of the power of the Spirit Breaker. He always has that get-out-of-jail-free card, and now he'll just charge right back down bottom. So almost like a permanent haste rune to some degree as he moves around the map. Now Jonas holds the high ground, goes in onto FNG, has a Battery Assault ready and waiting. It's only level 1. Is it actually enough damage to bring down the Ancient Apparition, though? Now he's stuck inside the cogs, holds him into the low ground, and there you go. It's a solo kill for the Clockwork. All of a sudden, Jonas level 4 and feeling good as he heads back to the top lane.
So funny how it works the other way. First I say, oh, Jonas, now he's having a hard time. Axe is dominating. He's able to go over, find a solo support pick like that, and he is right back into the game. Still has no regen on hand. Might have to take the long walk back to base. It looks like he will do so. But still, that is a boost he certainly needed after that takedown top lane. So with that, he'll be fine. He sends a bit of harassment towards the bottom side, where Seal Kid is pressuring towards the tower. But Era's also been constantly on the move. He picked up that invis recently, and now he's looking to put it to work. He pings out mid lane, and if he gets a quick combo on those Clinks, they still have the second Dust, I believe, to really get a hold of him. This could be trouble for Illidan.
Yeah, Era level 5, like you mentioned. He's ready to kill. Even just his combo is going to do a lot of damage here. Almost enough for the kill by itself, and it is actually. Limp throwing out a Dust. He didn't even get an assist for that kill. That was all Era. This rotation proves well worth it. He's got boots in a bottle, stout shield with 1,200 gold, and he heads right back down to the bottom lane. Era, not quite your last hit leader, about 5 behind that of the Axe, but boy, is he feeling good as he continues to find farm down here. Seal Kid getting a little bit of solo XP himself, soon to be level 4 on this Witch Doctor. Going a pretty standard build, no points in the Maledict quite yet. But all things considered, looking pretty good for NiP. They've got a nice 2,500 gold, 1,500 experience lead set up for themselves as ASUS.Polar look to rotate on the mid.
Yeah, they're going to try to get Viper, but Viper, not always an easy takedown. But here we go. Concussive shot plus the Ice Vortex. Slow, Ancient Seal, uphill miss, uphill miss. But they do get it there in the end. Illidan strikes back, finds his own way, finds his own kill. They certainly needed it. Because as expected in the draft, Clinks is just a little pile of bones, and even a simple tiny combo could just rip him apart. So he needed that. Now score 3-2. Still advantage for NiP. Mind you, we have yet to see really the Chen get to do a lot this game. He's had a free jungle to work with. Handskin's at level 4, almost level 5. So I'm curious to see when NiP are looking to really unleash their Chen power.
Yeah, myself included. He's got a smoke, so he's ready to move around a little bit. Still with 1,000 gold. Hasn't even picked up boots yet, just ricing away. Seems to be pretty content. There you go. He'll smoke up now. He's got a Hellbear Smasher and 2 Centaur Conquerors, so a pretty good ganking trio. And we'll see where he wants to go. Looks like it is the mid lane. Do they have another dust? They do. Viper's the carrier right now, but Illidan, he walks down. He breaks the smoke. Great map sense from Illidan. He'll go ahead, eat one of the creeps. Now Handskin in big trouble. Drops the stun onto Illidan, but now the charge across. Handskin certain to go down. Limp on his way over, but a TP in from Lil. He drops the silence. The Viper can't even get off the Viper Strike. Now Era comes cruising on in. Combo on 3 heroes. Finds 1 kill. Make it a second. Make it a third. Oh, man, the trash collector is here. Era doesn't get credit for the kills, but he does a hell of a lot of damage. That Haste Rune coming in at an ideal time. It's a 2-for-3 trade. It will be NiP to take the advantage.
Double counters right there. I loved it. So at first it seemed like the initial advantage. You can see now why maybe ASUS.Polar picked up the Clinks, just easily able to soak up that creep from Chen, bring in the boost for himself, and he's able to kind of come out on top. Then you see quickly that Limp is looking to get involved, thinks he has the easy pick. Rotations come out from Lil, and as they think Polar has the upper hand, here comes Era with this freaking Haste Rune, jumps on forward, and they just wipe out and get the best in the end of it. So NiP continue to come out on top, just that inch ahead, 1 step ahead, I guess you could say, from Polar. And they're going to have to try to shake this one off and look to bounce back. Their supports still need a bit of that solo me time, but...
Did you see that play from Era? Oh my god, the invisible Clinks going for the rune. Era just predicts where he's going to be, no vision, and just stuns him out and picks up the bounty rune for himself. What a play. So heads up.
It's that game sense knowing that he's probably venturing nearby. Better to play it safe than sorry.
I'm double checking here, making sure there wasn't a sentry down and he had vision. If that was just a blind avalanche, that was pretty impressive, and I think Clinks actually would have beaten him to the rune as well. But, speaking of Clinks, moving around the jungle, finds Handskin, the level 5 Chen, even Lil on his way in. It's an easy pick for the Clinks. And now Chen really feeling the hurt of the Bone Fletcher. A dust will be burned here. Illidan will get locked in. Chen might be dead, but his creeps are still alive. Limp comes in with the ultimate. That's a toss from Tiny. It's going to be Era that secures the kill. Nicely played by NiP. As they trade 1 for 1, it seemed just like a disastrous exchange, and then all of a sudden they traded support for the position 1 of ASUS.Polar.
So you're looking at a Wispless Era Tiny who is already 2-0, and he's got 1,600 gold and on the rise. I'm still wagering he could potentially go for a Blink Dagger this game, if not just flat out go more mobility, maybe segue into the drums from here. But it's very apparent that with something like a Blink Dagger, he'll get some easy early picks in this. Skywrath Mage, Ancient Apparition, Clinks, very squishy, very easy targets. I'm curious to see if that's what he does decide to go for. He'll have it within the next minute if that's what he decides to do.
Yeah, a couple of options for him here. Handomitis, pretty good on Tiny. Of course, he benefits a lot from the attack speed, and it does accelerate the timing towards that Aghanim. And speaking of Era, down bottom, he'll get initiated on, but he lives to the initial assault. He turns it around onto Illidan, the Death Lord, doing so much damage. It's a 2-for-0 the other way here, Dakota. Era lives, picks up one of the kills, and now it's 9-5. NiP with huge momentum as Illidan falls once more.
Silk Kid has just such good positioning as a babysitter to someone like Era.
Dire jungle, Lil and Jonas, they're squaring off. First it's Jonas, it looks like he'll find the kill, but then Lil, all of a sudden a Mystic Flare turns it around, and, well, his cogs turn out to be his own worst enemy, as ASUS.Polar get a freebie in their own jungle.
Action-packed, I'm loving this game so far. Oh, what's Era buying? There it is, the Blink Dagger, so he has it now.
Ooh.
This is your more solo get-up when you don't have the mobility of your little wisp buddy.
Yeah.
You got this to get the job done.
Good
there.
call.
So they scouted out. Spirit Breaker obviously was charging him, so they'll see him pick it up. Now they got to be on high alert. If Era was planning on maybe trying to get a fun little debut, get a smoke from an ally to try to get an early kill or two with the Blink Dagger, that might not be as easy. I would imagine ASUS.Polar now are going to be on high alert. But we'll have to see. Maybe he doesn't care. I mean, he's fighting creeps in lanes now, so it's without a doubt that this Tiny has a Blink Dagger. So we'll see. They want to take him down, though. They tried once already. They couldn't get it done. Handskin was nearby. This time they brought in reinforcements.
All right, Illidan, skeleton walk forward. He's not farming anymore. He is committed to ganking. Look at that net worth chart, how the mighty have fallen. Uh-oh, it's actually the top lane where the action's going to break out. DK Phobos taking a lot of damage. Avalanche comes in. Era will just try to square up with him, and it looks like Phobos will be on the back foot. Seal Kid throwing out a lot of sustainability with that Voodoo Restoration, and they will get the pick off onto Axe. Lil hiding in the tree line. Era hasted up, looking for the wraparound initiation. Lil, is he actually stuck in the trees? Nope, he's just trying to push himself deeper into that cranny if possible, and it will be enough to keep him alive. So still more kills coming about. Now it's Handskin that's initiated on. Charge from across the map. Illidan scouts him out. This combination so potent. Illidan can just give Mag vision and he'll charge from across the map. But again, Shen's army left around. Double stun from the Centaur's Limp, raining in the poison, and they'll turn it around again. They keep letting their Chen die, but it doesn't come for free. They're making ASUS.Polar pay for this, and it's giving NiP a bigger and bigger advantage.
Yeah, every time Polar thinks that they're going to be able to get a sweet pick, there's always a quick rotation coming out from NiP to make the better of it, or Limp will be there. Top lane, though, they're making it go into Jonas. They got the silence there, and with Seal Kid rotating, they're not going to pursue, and that's what I'm talking about, man. They always have a buddy right there nearby to help out if they can't handle this situation themselves. And with that Polar, they also need more farm, more build-up on their supports. We're still looking at an FNG level 5. AA would love to have Ice Blast in this game right now. So he's tried to find some solo farm on the bottom. Era shows up. He's got to go elsewhere, and now he's migrated himself towards this mid lane.
Yeah, right now the Ancient Apparition, the only hero not to have the ultimate, so that is a bit of a bottleneck for ASUS.Polar. Soon to be remedied, though. He's halfway through level 5. If they can take a decent team fight, or even a little skirmish, that will bode well for him. Ancient Apparition really feeling good right now. Has power treads completed, as well as a null talisman, even a smoke in the inventory. Already level 7. That solo kill on the Clockwork really helping out his bottom line, though. Not making up for the multiple deaths that Illidan has picked up this game. 3, 5, and 2. He's tried to move around, but just so many of these ganks have backfired. Handskin hasn't really had to do too much besides play defensive this game, and boy, has it worked out for him. Look at this, 13 minutes in, and he's closing in on that mech, just a couple hundred gold away.
Things just continue to look on the up and up here for NiP, and what we thought was going to be a promising start for Phobos on his Axe, he went with the early Vanguard, so they're feeling like their game changer right now is him getting the Blink Dagger. He's about 250 away, now 200 away from grabbing it up, but that is something Polar are going to be banking on, is the initiation here from their Axe, being able to jump in, set the stage for them to be able to follow up with big, big damage.
Uh-oh, Jonas getting charged in the bottom lane. Mag on his way in. In comes FNG and Lil. They'll do a lot of damage to Jonas. He'll survive the initial inslaught, but will go down afterwards. The all-heal from Handskin comes out a little too late. Now they bring down the Ancient Apparition. Mag isolated in the tree line. Not enough mana for a charge. No magic wand. He'll get completely surrounded. The toss from Era secures the kill there, and that will make it a 1-for-2 trade. Looks like Lil was able to TP home to safety. But another good fight for NiP means they'll group up in the bottom lane now and look to knock on this Tier 1 tower's door. And ASUS.Polar will do the same. Glyph comes out in the top lane. Illidan will bring down this tower. Looks like it'll be a tower for tower trade, but here comes Big Bad Era. Invisibility rune on. Can he find a solo pickoff here with this Blink Dagger? Thinking about Illidan. Here we go. The combo on the creep. Unfortunately, not what Era was hoping for. Now the Berserker's call from Phobos. He is level 11. Does have a dunk here. They will throw out a dust, and that'll be enough for Jonas to secure the kill on the Clicks. Now, close range hook shot onto Phobos. He's definitely going to fall as the coconut flies through. Death Ward into the toss. Era on a wicked 6th streak. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Tier 1 tower fell. Now F-God left behind. Limp with the poison attack will slow him down into oblivion and secures the kill as him and Handskin dive this tower and now lay in to a Tier 2 in the bottom lane. It's NiP coming up ahead all over the map here, Dakota.
They are getting so much done and forcing Polar to be in very awkward setups, awkward get-ups right now. And now they're going to ping out the charge that's heading towards that bottom lane, so it forces NiP to get back. But they beautifully did that top lane. Era let things off, knew that the Clockwork was going to be coming in shortly thereafter. Clockwork didn't immediately expend his hook shot, just kind of popped his dust, caged up Illidan, finished the job there, still had the hook shot to jump out and get the secondary kill on the Axe, which, mind you, I thought he was going to delay his Blink Dagger, but he was able to pick it up, so now he'll be able to have it in pocket. If Polar ever needed a time to really bounce back into this game, this is it. If this Axe cannot perform, if he cannot bring the game back, NiP could just steamroll the rest of the way there, or at least force Polar into a situation where split pushing might have to be the option.
Yeah, the lead for NiP now, the largest we've seen this game. Oh, Illidan moving around the Radiant jungle. This is that same style he likes to play on his Slark. The difference here, though, is Clinkz needs a little bit more farm to really be scary this way. They'll bump into Handskin. He'll use his mech, but it will not keep him alive. Ice Blast flying through. Actually doesn't connect on anyone. Limp tanking it up for now. Illidan surrounded by Chen creeps. He'll go down first. A full duration Death Ward just laying into this axe. He'll stay alive for now, but Limp with the Nether Toxin brings him down. Lil on the run, but is he going to be able to live? Mag trying to make some space. Illidan, pardon me, Mag, he'll go down, as will Lil. It's a 1 for 4. Illidan fell minutes ago, it feels like. Another terrible fight for ASUS.Polar, and again, they were the aggressors. They keep following this Clinkz into the jungle, thinking Illidan has a master plan, some sort of master strategy to bring down these tanky heroes, but he just has no damage. He's got a medallion. He's working on power treads right now. This is a backfire for ASUS.Polar, and they're going to run out of options soon if they keep this up.
Yeah, I mean, of all the games, of course, Game 1 is probably the best choice to kind of experiment a bit and try something new. They know that Chen is all the rage now for a lot of these teams, maybe feeling like Clinkz could have been the early answer with his Death Pack, but I feel like still a Slark could have done the job that he did a bit better. Seal Kid was going to TP away, but was scouted out, knows that Illidan is in the area. They're trying to get their dust buddies nearby. Limp doesn't have any more. Oh, they tried to pop it right there, but he was not in range. But they quickly converge in hopes of getting hold of Illidan. It's not gonna happen, it looks like. Oh, he could get close to this sentry. He is flirting with death right here. And he was brought down solely by the Chen almost and his creep army alone in that last engagement.
Jonas walks into the Sentry Ward, and he's actually doing a lot of damage to Illidan here. Hook shot back into his cogs to say, hey, Illidan, you're not ready for this. Boom, down he goes, and the Bone Fletcher just turns into a pile of dust as his bones disintegrate onto the floor. Thinking about a Roshan, Limp moves into the pit. He's got a buckler here, a bit peculiar given that Handskin has a mech already. Maybe he's looking for some extra armor, but an interesting choice nonetheless. They will go for the Chen. Illidan, he just needs to start farming it up. Now 3-8-3. 3 deaths in a row since we last checked in on his KDA. I think at this point, he really just needs to get a baseline of farm going, finish up those power treads, and just find some sort of damage-dealing item so he can hit for more than kittens.
And probably got a bit confused as far as who's getting what mech at what time, who has the better farm, but at least he went Buckler first, so there's always the option for the Crimson Guard. But here comes the AA Ice Blast, connects very nicely, but it's only level 1. It's not going to stop him from doing Roche, stop him from picking up the Aegis. And poor Illidan, they just constantly have either Dust on hand or sentries conveniently here. I mean, they got 2 sentries alone by the pit, 1 nearby in the rune spot. There was 1 earlier in the bottom lane that helped Clockwork get that kill. He didn't even have to use a Dust. Illidan's constantly going to be scared here. When you're scared, you're not getting farm, you're not getting kills, and you're looking at your towers fall.
Now it's a tier 1 tower in the mid lane going down. Tiny will get the last hit. He has his Aghanim Scepter complete. Needs to get a turn with the courier, but has at least purchased it now. Ooh, down near the rune. Hands get initiated on by the big bad Space Cow. Nether Strike flies through. Seal Kid also gets picked off by the Clinkz. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Limp actually goes down to DK Phobos. Era has a combo onto Illidan. Not enough damage for the kill, and now he'll get turned around on. They do get the kill onto Spirit Breaker off to the side. Illidan alive for now. Pardon me, not Illidan. Era still alive for now, but ends up going down. They'll also lose the Chen. He's coming back via the Aegis, but this is a huge fight for ASUS.Polar. As Era blinks forward, takes a silence from Lil, and I don't think they'll be able to engage in this tower. They certainly don't want to. It ends up being a 4-for-1, a buyback on the Viper, and of course, Tiny had the Aegis. A huge net worth swing of about 3,000. ASUS.Polar striking back and regaining some of that lost footing.
Definitely needed that for Polar to get themselves back into this game. It's step 1 of a kind of a 3-step process, but with that, they're able to quickly burn the Aegis, find a huge rubber band their way, be able to secure a lot of farm. Aghanim's now going to be picked up on Era, so with that, Illidan on the other side, well, he's got power tread, so still kind of struggling a bit, but at least with that, he can look to build on top of it. He goes on the prowl once more, and Polar just kind of regroups. So we were asking a lot from their Axe to kind of get things started and set up. He does so in the mid lane, gets it done. Era had been preserving his combo at the start, so it could have come back to bite him here, but look at this. Illidan, eyes on Handskin here. It's going to fly, but he walks out of it.
Ice Blast, it misses. Hanskin, he may dust here, and he does. He figures out where Illidan is. Can they converge on him? Orange is on his way down. It is Jonas. He's got some cogs. Battery Assault locks him in. Illidan in big trouble. Dust expiring in just a moment, but it doesn't matter. Era shows up with the combo, and that brings him down, secures a godlike streak for the Tiny, who's not so tiny anymore. Illidan, when are you gonna learn? George Bush is shaking his head right now. He's been fooled more than thrice. I don't know what the words are once you get up to 4, 5, 6 times. He just keeps walking into it time and time again.
The nice thing for them is that they have all these wards riddled about the bottom of the river where the AA blast was coming from. And if you keep tabs and eyes on your mini-map, you can see the ball flying. And when he sees it, he stepped out of the radius, figured that they had vision somehow. It's got to be Illidan. Pop the dust, they get the kill. Just good game sense, good heads-up play right there from NiP. And with the reward, they're going to be able to push down once more this mid lane. They got a nice little fabulous Centaur army to work with here. Toss early in, but we got rotations. Illidan shows right back up. The sentry was already there. Cog. Ooh. And Jonas shows up. Oh, this is disaster. Illidan can fall back-to-back times, and he will. Even the stun from the Centaur on the outside will help it out. Eric moves forward. They get a hold of Mag, and well, when you thought Polar were going to be able to bounce back into this game, Zyori, it just falls back on its face. It's NiP still.
Era just completely shut down. You look at, or not Era, pardon me, the Clinks. Illidan, why am I confusing these two? Look at his inventory. He's just got nothing. Power Treads, Aquila, Medallion, Bottle at 22 minutes. That's your solo mid Clinks. You really want him to transition to be your one as the Axe moves around and controls the tempos. NiP just shutting him down left, right, and center. They're still holding on to a nice golden experience lead. They move into this tier 3 tower in the mid lane. Glyph has already come out, and now it's theirs for the taking. ASUS.Polar will respond pretty quickly. We're only 22 minutes in, and NiP will not press their luck. They take the tier 3 tower and back up to safety, happy with their spoils, and will not throw away this lead they've garnered for themselves. Jonas, initiated on by Phobos, will be in some trouble here. Yule's Scepter sets up an Ice Blast, does connect. He's now frostbitten, will be on the run. Mag cruising on in, goes onto Limp. Now the Nether Strike onto Jonas. Do they have the follow-up damage here to really take this fight? Seal Kid initiated on, brought down by the Mystic Flare from the Skywrath Mage, but Mag hit by the Cogs, brought down by Limp. Now Phobos off to the side, will get a dunk just for the movement speed, but Tiny is cleaning up his teammates around the backside. We're watching Phobos and Jonas duke it out as they bring down Phobos. Illidan, the lone survivor for now, a 2 for 4. This Tiny is just out of control, and they have no answer for it. That whole fight, he was just in the back lines, cleaving down the dire supports.
They get what they want. Illidan's just trying to cut the creeps as best as possible, so they only have this one wave to work with, but that wave is already in the base. They got 40 seconds before Axe, their biggest threat, is even going to be back. And by then, this Tiny is just easy racks. Boom. Bang. It's not the fastest Tiny that we normally see with a Wisp, but he gets the job done regardless. First set of racks is going to go down in favor of NiP. Ice Blast will come out, plus the charge, a bit of that global freshness from Polar, but it might be stumped. Jumping from Phobos, though, is going to be able to catch the Clockwork, and he will go down. Limp gets his TP away. It's the expense of 1 Clockwork for a secured set of racks. I think NiP are going to be okay with that.
Yeah, and a buyback from the Axe. So, end of the day, still a net worth gain for ASUS.Polar, not nearly as much as it could have been. If only the Clockwork could have gotten his Blade Mail off before that taunt from the Axe right there at the end. Could have returned a lot of damage and maybe given NiP an opportunity to reinitiate. But you look at that gold graph, and a very minor gain for ASUS.Polar that is very quickly shadowed by the 12,000 net worth boon for NiP right now, and about 10,000 experience going their way. Chen still hasn't really picked up much since the mech arcane boots, but 1,400 gold. We'll see what Hanskin wants to move into. Tiny closing in on the Assault Cuirass, actually just about to pick it up, 200 gold away, and she blows. That's a Hyperstone, snagged at the Secret Shop. Viper, his inventory is still kind of all over the place, hanging on to a Blade of Alacrity for now, 3,100 gold. Illidan, you snaky devil, pressing forward into the enemy jungle yet again. Now has a Mithril Hammer. Is this maybe a Desolator coming out here already made of glass and thinking, well, I better just strap some lasers to that glass and go for the glass cannon style?
I don't know. I mean, even by the time he gets a Desolator, you already have an AC up on Tiny. That's going to benefit him and his whole team. So your pesky little minus armor is not going to seem like a lot. And that's part of the reason why Tiny was probably picked up against someone like an Axe who just loves all that armor, which, hold on that thought. We got Jonas jumping in bottom lane. He wants to get hold of Illidan. Dust was already popped. He's still under the tier 1 tower, which they're trying to take down. Walks right through a Mystic Flare. I don't care about that crap. I want Illidan. Gets the kill. Gets the Phobos kill as well. The 2-man takedown. Oh, Will barely makes it out with TP, but they find another also getting the Spirit Breaker.
Whoa.
And that's enough. They say GG, but just to finish my thought, Tiny, really good against Axe Cleave, don't care about no armor. And when you get a hold of the Agnum Scepter and plus all this move speed, even someone as mighty as an Axe with all that precious bonus armor doesn't look so big and bad.
All right. Well, that'll do it for game number 1 of all this Dota 2 action we have today, Dakota. Holy Toledo as NiP, who I described as the clear underdogs in the trio of teams we have remaining in this qualifier, dominating ASUS.Polar in game number 1, only 25 minutes. Tiny having a perfect showing, Era 12-0-8. No Wisp partner. I know I was skeptical, but they made it happen. Chen took quite a few tumbles in the jungle, but never did it cost them more than they gained, constantly trading the Chen for cores on the side of ASUS.Polar. My oh my, NiP looking fresh today, Dakota.
Yeah, I think props, of course, the support staff, rather, and because even Limp in the mid lane had that early dust, he was able to get the early pick onto Illidan, and by then he just took full control of the lane. The supports constantly had sentries down where needed. Illidan really didn't feel safe anywhere, so props to them. And with that, it allowed someone like Era to just reap in the benefits, all the kills, all the space, and you see it right there, 12-0.
Absolutely. So we'll take a quick break, guys, and moving into game number 2, we'll see. Maybe NiP can make this a fast 2-0, and we'll have a break before going into the BO5 Grand Finals, or will ASUS.Polar strike back and take us into an ace match? Stick around because the conclusion of this series is right around the corner.